Because in a strange sort of a way, when you're writing the script, especially the first draft, you are living with that character and you are going on that journey with them. Because essentially, I think when you're writing a story, you're trying to see the world from their point of view. So you've got to understand not how they think, but how the world looks to them, and also how they feel. So for example, the film we just showed here, which opened the Umbria Film Festival in July 2012. A lovely experience, by the way, really beautiful people here, very warm and very open, and lovely to show the film outdoors in a square. If you come from Scotland, you appreciate that. It wasn't raining. Talking and debating film till 1:30 in the morning, which is a lovely experience. But the main character in this film is a man called Frankie, who was an ex-soldier who became a private contractor, and what happened was he'd come back from Iraq, to the UK after working as a private contractor there. Now many of these people come back with post-traumatic stress syndrome, So I spent a lot of time with soldiers and ex-soldiers who had lived through that, and I suppose by being with these soldiers and trying to understand their point of view, it was different from the experience of Frankie exactly, but underneath there was something largely in common with them. And so they do suffer from terrible pain, flashbacks, and the really frightening thing is it often takes about 11 years to manifest itself. So these experts were expecting a wave now after the Iraqi war. So that was that. So and I spoke to a wonderful old nurse there, and she's at the point of retiring, and she said, many of these men are in mourning for their former selves, And then another soldier told me, I just want my old self back. They're trying to get back to the way they were before they've been traumatised by what they've done and by what they've seen. So dramatically that's very interesting too, because they've often done some terrible things, they've also been traumatised by what they've done and by what they've witnessed and what they've been sent to. Many of them go as young men, most of them go as young men. Most of them are working class. It's not the sons of Tony Blair and not the sons of George Bush that get sent to war. Normally it's the sons of the working class who go and do all the dirty work for these people. So I spent a lot of time with them, and so when you are writing it, you try to bring that pain and that contradiction to life. So I always try to, every project's very, very different. Same in the film we did called The Wind Shakes the Barley, that Ken Loach directed as well. It's about fighting and war. And again, people are traumatised by what they have to confront and what they have to do. And again, that was an important thing to do in your research properly. When you go there, you realise it was mostly young men. They were in the flying columns. They were ambushing the British Army who had occupied Ireland. And then when you go to these places and you see the countryside, it's not like Umbria here. Ireland in March, it's bloody freezing, it's wet, it's cold, and then you realise to do that you have to be really young, you have to be really, really tough. And so it was a young person's war, so they had to make these terrible decisions at a very early age. And I think really my experiences of being in Nicaragua helped greatly, because, again, you remember what it's like to be frightened, when you're up in the mountains and following these, close by, you realise, roads can be mined, you can expect an ambush. I spoke to a lot of people who'd been involved in war, again young people, mostly teenagers, not only Sandinista soldiers but also Contras who'd been captured by the Sandinistas. And I remember once in particular talking to a young Contra who'd been trained by the CIA, and he told me how he had finished off people who had been ambushed, with a knife. And it was just horrific. And you could see that he kept having flashbacks of what he had done, and you could see that he was destroyed by what he had done too. And that was another very important lesson, that that's why I hate all these war films where people kill and murder as if and death, and as if it means nothing. I think there are some psychopaths, and some people are totally cut off and do crazy things, but also I think for lots of people they are destroyed by what they've done as well. So when I see violence and you don't see the cost of it, it drives me mad in film. It happens all the time. It becomes like kind of pornographic violence. There's an enjoyment of watching the slow motion bullets and blood and heads being chopped off and flesh being ripped apart. But they don't see the cost to the families, to the friends, to the community, and they don't see what it's done to the person who's perpetrating it. In fact, they're often seen as heroes. If you see a film like Black Hawk Down, for instance. They kill hundreds of black people without like that, and the only humanity is ever shown to the white soldiers. It's a kind of a pornographic filmmaking which I can't stand.